Is it still really cold for you, Daniel?
No, we are getting closer to spring, 7 degrees.
Okay. I mean, for a short time, we actually had what we consider a very cold weather. We had 21 degrees over Chinese New Year, which is rare. It's usually about 34. So that's about our winter. My mother dug out all her sweaters.
So that is a premiere in the Aviation Women's Panel of Ladies Beyond Flying, that we are talking about the weather initially, but I liked it very much. I think it's usually an icebreaker for any conversation. So ladies, welcome to our second Aviation Women Panel of 2023. My name is Daniel Stecher, Vice President, Business Development, IBS Software. It's a big pleasure having you with us. And today we have a very special speaker. As I was writing in our newsletters last year, her airline won an IATA Diversity Award and got it handed over in Qatar, in Doha. And today Alina is talking how airBaltic is boosting diversity. And we have, like always, 45 to 60 minutes. I saw already the presentation, so I encourage everybody, please use the raise your hand functionality in MS Teams if you have a question, because Alina will probably focus very much on the presentation, so I will help and then accommodate everybody's question. You can, of course, put it also in the chat notes, but we want to have it very interactive and lively, so please then ask also your questions verbally. And yeah, stage is yours, Alina, and I hope we all have fun.
Thank you, Dana, for the introduction. Very excited to join. No pressure about the special guests at all, but yeah, thank you. Very good comment about raising hands. I'm not sure if I will technically see the hands, but then Daniel feel safe to interrupt me and just bring the question.
I will do the needful, yes.
Yeah, so the topic from my side, which I would like to share with you, is actually our story about the diversity, how we see it, what are our challenges, why we actually get the award. And just to start with, I would like to share with you, just give me a second, I will check the sound. But what I would like to share with you is actually our application video for the award, and maybe that would already bring some questions and in a sense explain why we got it.
airBaltic is the Latvian national airline connecting Baltic region with over 70 destinations across the globe. The company is well known for its innovation, sustainability, diversity and inclusion efforts.
The company's core values, we deliver, we care, we grow, reflect our stance on the world around us. All our managers that have undergone the course of diversity and inclusion actively promote these values throughout their day-to-day actions.
At airBaltic, we follow a strict zero discrimination policy. We recruit and promote our people solely based on their skills and qualification. Our modern team combines more than 1,700 employees of 25 different nationalities. For more than a decade now, we have been recognized as one of the best employers in Latvia.
45% of airBaltic's top management team is women. The company sets an example not only to aviation industry, but Latvia and Europe as well. airBaltic promotes gender equality in all areas of the company and has maintained a 50% proportion among all managers. Many of these women have built their careers within airBaltic. 64% of female managers have been promoted internally to their current position.
We have managed to minimize gender pay gap at airBaltic to only 6%, well below European average. Moreover, with average age of 40 years, our managers are only on their path to reach their full potential. We hope that they will accomplish it together with airBaltic.
Last year, we selected high potential employees, our future leaders, for the internal Alpha Leadership Program. 47% of them are women. To promote inclusiveness, we offer Latvian language courses to our foreign staff and English language courses for locals. In that way, we ensure that everyone is involved in company's life.
airBaltic works to increase the number of women working in fields traditionally associated with men. Be it pilots, technicians, or maintenance personnel, the company actively encourages young women to undertake these roles.
When it comes to diversity and inclusion, we will continue to make progress. We are proud to maintain full gender equality amongst company managers. Most of them have started their career here at airBaltic. airBaltic is a team of the best professionals in the field of aviation who constantly work to stay on top.
Nice.
Yeah. It also explains a little bit about the company and what were the like key elements we were focusing on in relation to diversity, which are important for us. And just to like introduce you, maybe majority of you I believe have heard about 25 by 2025 initiative, and we were also one of the first airlines joining this pledge in 2018. The beginning was kind of rocky. Those of you who remember why it's like this initiative started, and supported by Qatar Airlines. So, by joining this initiative, actually that helped us as a company actually to look on diversity topics from the different like angle. So historically we were like developing in a culture, let's say, which were introduced by SAS like 25 years already back then. So we kind of have a lot of like internal culture elements and processes which already possess diversity, equal opportunities. So for us, it's like normal practice. That is the way we live. But at the same time, it helped us a lot by signing up for this pledge and defining certain like targets that helped us to focus on that, to really bring it to the business discussions, and also to help us actually show our success. That is a part of our sustainability story. That is a part of our future IPO story. And the like core benefit for me representing airBaltic at events, quarterly events we do have organized by IATA, it's actually this community we have there. Because honestly, so we all know that aviation and particular roles in aviation are quite man dominant. And when I do speak in Latvia with other HR leaders or diversity specialists, so it's quite difficult to compare or compete with other industries. Just because we have different base where we're coming from, we do have different like set of stereotypes. So it's quite difficult to be like fully comparable with like banking sector, for instance. And of course, we are not like aiming to compete with them on diversity targets, especially in the groups which are underrepresented or which have like historically man-dominant positions. So for us, it was important that we have this opportunity to really speak to the community, to have this really open and safe environment where we can openly share like our challenges and like bring some ideas how to overcome them. And that is really, really valuable. And of course, this like a great award event, it also brings like some success stories from which you can learn and understand what is the, in essence, what have they done differently, or what is their success, key to success. So yeah, I would say like IATA helped us a lot in formulating what we want to achieve and focusing like business on this diversity targets. So what I mentioned about this our like organization and historically how we operate, why we are saying that like diversity is our like a key success story in our sustainability activities in our IPO story, because historically we do have quite good balance internally. So we have quite a diverse team coming from different nationalities, and we now have already like 2,200 employees, comparing with what we have seen in video. So we are growing, and of course the diversity also help us to seek talents in more diverse groups, approach more diverse audience, which really fuels the growth of the company. But at the same time, so we are proud of what we have at the moment, but at the same time we are quite open and transparent. Yes, we do have like a 50-50 balance for almost 10 years across the company, but at the same time we do have underrepresented employee groups. In the pilots, we have only around 7%, but I'll come to this as well. In a cabin crew, we have vice versa. And on these areas, we also agreed on business level and also in this pledge to IATA that we will work on, and we want to reach 25% representation by 2025 or increase representation within the group at least by 25%. And for majority of the organizations, those groups are pilots, technical personnel, operational personnel. We also choose to focus on cabin crew area, but on let's say have a vice versa approach. So we are aiming to increase male representation within the cabin crew area. And of course, we do have a targets for the senior management also, and all the managerial roles to keep like 50-50 balance there.
Alina, there's a question from Munshin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. Can you go back to the previous slide, please?
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask two questions. One is when you have 53%, is that also taking into account your operational staff, like pilots?
Yeah,
because you said
it's an entire organization. Yeah.
So that's okay. That's pretty good, because I thought that the pilots would create a big imbalance. The other one is I don't really know how to read the second one, 5,2. What is that? How do you read that?
That's the average seniority within the company, 5.2 years. That factor is changing. So it dropped from 8 years to 5 now, as I mentioned. So we have like a very steep growth after COVID. Last year, so we recruited almost 1,000 employees. So almost half of our employees has less than 1 year tenure with us. So that is where this
okay, thank you.
come from. Yeah, welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, so we are quite transparent in a sense what are our challenges.
Wait, there's another question. Suna, you want to ask a question on the same slide?
Yeah, I think it's related with the same slide. Sorry, I was a bit late.
One, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you showed the numbers, and I think you are monitoring it periodically, right? And I wonder, maybe I missed that part, but is there a kind of specific organization who is promoted for diversity and inclusion, and under which function? How did you position it?
Yeah, so we do have, at the moment, we do not have a separate organization for diversity and inclusion. It sits under HR, and we do have our internal trainers on diversity and inclusion topics. One of them is coming from cabin crew area, so we have a peer-to-peer learning approach, and one of them is coming actually from the HR. So we do run the internal trainings and coach managers on diversity topics through our leadership program mainly.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, on the data which we are following and which we have submitted to the IATA as well to follow up. We also provide like yearly statistics and data. What is our progress? And here you see where we started, like in a darker gray for cabin crew. The gray is the same, but like this first column is 2020 data. That is the percentage of representation. Within pilots, women, in pilots, technical and operations personnel, again, women, and in cabin crew, we focus on the men representation. And the second column you see is again the representation percentage, but the last year, so 2022, which we have reported also for our sustainability report, and we'll also provide the data for IATA. And here we see this progress which we have achieved so far. And I will elaborate more on each of these groups also later on, but just to be fully open with you and very transparent in this, let's take technical and operations personnel. The key driver for such an increase is not exactly the technical personnel, like not technicians and mechanics, where we also see the improvements in diversity and women attraction to the industry and to specific roles. But here the key driver is operational personnel, where we have acquired ground handling at Riga Airport, at our main hub. So where bigger group of employees are women, and they provide the check-in service, gate agent service. So that is where we come with this improved results, let's say, so significantly improved, because in technical area we still have a lot of challenges in attracting people. But related to these targets, what I would also like to emphasize is that also at the IATA Award, we also have had the panel discussion with Pegasus Airlines CEO, and she mentioned that they have reached almost, if I'm not mistaken, 35% of women in a pilots community, and they do have a quotas, so they do have very specific targets for the recruitment, training, and so on. So they do have quotas about how many women and men they have to recruit, let's say, in each group. So we do not have this, we do not set any quotas. So we try to make it like with a soft influence, let's say. But again, as I mentioned, so I still believe that we had a quite good base throughout the history of the company development, the way how diversity and equal opportunities topics have been defined and addressed through different internal, like, people management processes. So it's choice of each company how to address it. We still believe that we want to provide like equal, and from our side equal, we understand that do not possess to have a quotas at the moment. Let's see, maybe some regulations will kick in at some point as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was recently running 2 polls in LinkedIn, and after the polls, we had several discussions. So the question was, do you prefer a female or male manager? And the majority said, I don't care. Yeah. And then in this discussion, it was all about, yeah, we don't care. It's about competence. So is this not the contradiction then, that on one hand, we have this target of 25%, when at the end, if you ask people, say, I don't care, it's about competence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is, I would say that is also closer to our approach. So we value on evaluate people and select and recruit and develop based on the skills, the competence, experience. But at the same time, I fully understand that there are certain environments where it's like impossible due to different reasons, and their quotas might make sense. But related to this, how to compare women and men, some competencies, we had the same research here in Latvia, and the outcome was actually the same. But they really took the audience of managers, they subordinates, evaluated on different competencies, because what would be your assumption that I know women are more emotionally intelligent, for instance, yeah, but that was not proven throughout this research. So yeah, from our side, we do stick to this evaluation criteria. We do have clear assessment process, and with that, really hope that everyone gets the equal opportunities. So, yeah, I don't know if answers your question.
Somehow, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, to continue with this, our three main groups we want to address. So we call it success, but it's still 12%. So, but for us, it's really meaningful because also what you have seen, like from this 5 to 7% women representation with the pilot community is actually stimulated by the Pilot Academy, which is also the part of airBaltic group, where we do select our future pilots, train them from 0 to hero, and then they join airBaltic already as the first officers and fly with us. And actually, we let's say when we applied to IATA, we had 12% of Pilot Academy students, and that was shortly after like COVID, like they still were in the process, but now we already by end of last year we already employed this 12%. So now we again up like close to 10% representation in Pilot Academy, and we gained this plus 2% in employee number within Pilot Academy. And again, here we don't have quotas, but we do invest a lot in communication, because this, as you see here, we do have main stereotypes. What we do see and want to combat in the long term is related to some stereotypes about that pilot job is only for men. That is probably one key stereotype we have, and also the communication in media, but that is related. For instance, we share on social media posts about the Pilot Academy or a new cadet group joining, and in case if in particular group we have, for instance, 9 men without any women joining, so we immediately get this like a negative comments, and sometimes I'm just like wondering, so especially some diversity experts or sustainability experts just putting kind of statements like, how it comes no ladies joining, oh my god. So yeah, I would say it's just like not bringing any benefit, nor for us, nor for the ladies who are reading through these comments and are even more afraid to apply. Yeah, so that is where we do really struggle, because on communication wise, we always put upfront what is going on internally. So we do put our colleagues to share their experience, to really demonstrate how it's working internally.
And
what else?
By the way, a question.
Yeah.
Potentially your comment about sustainability and diversity experts raised her hand.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yes, I had a comment to that. I think the answer to that question is that we see very few women as you know, portrayed in media and various different should we say environments or whatever, in, you know, in having these professions, and and this is I would say a huge problem for our industry. That we don't even, you know, we have to deal with all the sort of negative publicity that we have anyway when it comes to aviation. And at the same time, we just cannot sort of demonstrate in the right places the success of women in these professions. I personally do my very, very hardest myself, as I represent Women in Aviation International, and we do it Girls' Day in Aviation globally. But it is incredibly difficult to get the message out there. So that's something that airlines also need to work on, and which organizations also to sort of collaborate with for that messaging. So that's really just my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I fully agree. And media, of course, has especially in like our region, so let's say the clickbaits always are made by some negativity, so that is why it's quite difficult to bring very, very positive message to make it more viral, let's say. But yeah, I fully agree. And what we all started to do, we do cooperate with Tech Girl organization based here in Riga. They focus on different kind of technical roles, promotion among young ladies and women. So we do cooperate with them on different events. They do share our very technical positions also with their community, and also different like interviews, public interviews, where our also women cadets from the pilot academy leading their open days, sharing their experience and so. But one also interesting comment from one of our captains. She was leading one of the open days events at the pilot academy in cooperation with this Riga Tech Girl organization, where around 100 ladies join us for that event. And what she was sharing was her like private life experience, how she decided to become a pilot and how was her journey to obtain the qualification, the training, how she found the job, and how she's feeling now as a captain already. One takeaway from her was also related to the stereotypes in society. She said like she had all the negativity and concerns and like less support from the family, from the friends, comparing when she joined the academy, when she joined the company, because here she felt like, okay, I'm welcomed, I'm valued, I can take this job, and that is like totally normal comparing with like a friend environment where there was like so many questions why you decided to do it and how you'll manage and so on. So yeah, also this mentoring programs, I believe, also brings some value. We haven't set up our program yet, but that is also on our plan for the future, to really give this hand for ladies outside there who want to try it but have no support at the moment from the family or friends or closest environment, let's say. Yeah, so again, if we think of technical area, I have shown you this technical and operations area, which is wider. But when we think of, in particular, the technician job, so there for years, we had like zero representation and diversity. So we had like a man's world. And I also mentioned that it's actually a business focus now, because actually to bring in women into this kind of environment, it's not only about how you get people, how you promote this, where you get the candidates at all, yeah, and also some cultural integration things, but it's actually also investment, because imagine, so for almost 20 years we had no women in a hangar. And now we decided that we need to diversify the team. So we need to invest at least into toilets, let's say. Yeah, so it's also very, very practical infrastructure question. So how to make women feeling same as other colleagues, having the full, let's say, infrastructure for them, so that they feel comfortable. And yeah, here are many challenges, especially related to our employer brand and this job brand, because as I mentioned, so we do promote a lot with the stories of our colleagues. And we, of course, can always ask them to emphasize certain aspects and put some emphasis, but this is what they want to share about their profession. And we have a lot of interviews with our technicians and some promotion videos. And we quite often hear that, like, yeah, technician job is a very masculine profession. I'm very proud of it. And of course, that is not what brings women to apply for this job, yeah, and choose this profession for a lifetime. So yeah, and
there's a question from Sadia.
Mm-hmm.
Hi there, Alina. Hi, I'm Sadia.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Meet you, as they say.
Yeah.
Really interesting to hear everything that you've said so far. The question that's coming up in my mind is, like, what is it specifically that you feel that women can bring to these workforces where at the moment they're underrepresented? Like, what is it specifically that makes, you know, having a woman as part of that team, you know, makes it better? What do we get from that?
I would like turn it not maybe so much from the team perspective, because we normally sees the benefits of diversity as like creativity, more diverse views. Maybe in technical area that is not the key element, but to be open. So we are a growing company and we do have limited audience in a sense when we need to increase the number of technicians, for instance. But we know that there are women outside there who probably would like to do this kind of job, but they just don't know that there is such an opportunity. They don't know how to perceive this career goal, let's say. And here, I believe, is our goal to really facilitate them which studies to choose, how to get the practice with us, and showing that we will create the environment where they can actually flourish in their careers. And that is maybe some other parts, and also related to stereotypes, let's say. But what I also see with my HR colleagues who are working with the technical department, especially hangar, they are taking care of team environment, let's say, the team environment, some events, maybe some improvements in the processes, more efficient processes, some logistics as well. So, and maybe these are the threats that women also can bring to this technical teams as well.
This reminds me to Mong Xing's presentation. I think, Munjin, you were sharing the same sentiment that the ground staff, once there were women in the team, suddenly took more care about themselves. I don't know, went more often to the hairdresser, were taking care of their clothes suddenly. I think that was what you were presenting.
When they come to work.
Mm.
Yeah, so the morale was better generally, and we found that the discipline was improved because the women work harder to keep to the schedule. So it's not really so much that there was a difference in the kind of technical skills that they bring, but the overall you know, morale effect that it has on the team.
Yeah, some team norms. Yeah, that definitely improves. We don't have so many yet ladies, let's say, in the technical department, so that they can really share some learning points. We have just like mid 2021 during the first 2 ladies. Now we have already close to 10, which is less than 10% of the workforce. So it's very, very challenging. But another part related to this communication, what we discussed previously also about the pilots, to showing the success story, it's also very thin line, so that we are not also making it a little bit fake, so that it's actually not representing. So if we would use in all the marketing and job promotion activities only ladies who are working there, that would make it, you know, not the reality. And that is also like should be very well balanced, and also that the employees do not feel themselves that they are used for some just a promotion or some diversity goal. Yeah, so it's yeah, very, very thin line how to make it work. And also on the profession choices, we do cooperate with universities, and normally we do employ technicians joining us after like engineering studies. And normally when we ask people in the audience at the university, so raise the hands who would be willing to work on the field, night and day, wind or snow. Mainly ladies choose to work in the office, and yeah, which is understandable in a sense due to some also health related issues, but that is also the clarity for us, brings this reality check. We are sure that we will not get like 50-50 in the technical department, and we live with that, but still we strive to at least make it more available for those women who want to join the technical professions and excel in this area. On the cabin crew, yeah, shortly before COVID, we kind of reached our well-balanced recruitment. Amongst the new hires, we had 50-50. During the COVID, we went through the staff reduction, significant, especially amongst the cabin crew. Then we had a round of rehiring for almost a year. And now we do recruitment. But one also important thing is that diversity in one area is not working. It's the same like in fitness. So you cannot like do only arms and hope that your arms will be super fit. Yeah. So you need to do the full body. And I believe this example is the best to describe also diversity, how it works. So when we open up the selection and recruitment of cabin crew, not only in like Baltics region, which was our, like for years, our core market, we opened it up like entire Europe. So we hired like last year almost 200 colleagues from Spain, also from Ukraine, of course, due to the war. There we supported them to join us. And that also brought a lot of other aspects of diversity within the cabin crew environment. And that is not only about the like gender, it's about the nationalities, mentality, previous experience as well with other airlines. So all these aspects somehow make it flourish. And as you have seen, so we also increased this male representation within the cabin crew from like 13 to 22. So that is, I believe, a really great improvement and big success in this aspect. But related to the stereotypes for the cabin crew, let's say in Latvia we do not have generations who have experienced the airline industry. So we are here for 27 years, and now just this like a first generation understands that it's actually could be a job not only for students, but that is the job for the lifetime. And we do have a lot of stereotypes about the age limits. We even have, when we have an open days or some interviews, public interviews, a lot of questions coming like, okay, I'm a 45 years old, may I join the cabin crew, selection days and so on. So these are also the, let's say, limitations we have. And one more, let's say, also one of the stereotypes limiting us in terms of the growth and diversity is also visual appearance of cabin crew, which are driven, I would say, partially by ourselves due to all the marketing materials, and where we really need to be much more conscious and really more intentionally showing the diversity we have internally, but still in public. I know we do have our beautiful ladies shown up on our calendar, for instance. And of course, they all are looking like models, but and that creates the stereotypes. And especially as we do have this tradition of calendar for years, that backfires us in terms of the diversity in the cabin crew area. But we are working on it, and I believe that throughout the years we have improved a lot, and we do already now prepare the next campaign, like a bigger employer brand campaign about the cabin crew job, and especially emphasizing the diversity, age diversity we do have amongst our cabin crew. Yeah, as I mentioned, so we do not have any quotas. Therefore, I believe that it's what are the key like success factors for us is already like mentioned several times. So it's part of our culture. So throughout the years, the way how company was established as a joint venture with the SAS in the beginning. So the way how the people processes were developed, the way the leaders of that time were trained according to the SAS standards, very Scandinavian approach to the people management processes. That became just a part of our culture, and we do still follow them. Also take into account that we're quite close to Scandinavia, and many companies around us also have the same approach within the business and diversity topics. And also in general, Latvia has quite good balance and diversity and women empowerment and leadership positions. So and here I would say we are really like no, I would say like happy, but at the same time it's like real commitment from the leaders. We do have 50-50 balance among senior management positions, and that is already for years. And we, Daniel, if I can recall your question about this benefits, and the research have been done about the benefits, what actually gender diversity in the senior position brings for the company. As I mentioned, so it's quite difficult for us to actually measure it and not take into account even like last years of crisis over crisis, but also like historically we always had this balance of senior management positions, and yeah, we don't have anything to compare with, but even our CEO several times emphasized also with IATA events, and that he sees the value that we do have quite different points of view, and of course also in taking into account that we represent different functions. So it's quite a valuable diversity of the opinions, of the experience, and it's not only gender diversity. It's just like it's also age groups. It's also experience within the company and outside the company, international experience, local understanding. So all this inputs brings for the business better business solutions. So the only way how to test it is increase the number of women in our team.
But this is an interesting point again, and again coming to my own poll, and maybe also the question from Sandhya. So you cannot measure that now having female technicians, maintenance checks can be done more efficient, or that where women are in the teams, things are faster, better, improved. Because if at the end people say, I don't care whether I have a male or female manager, it's about competence. And Sandhya is asking, what are women bringing? If you bring more competence, something needs to improve somehow. And it cannot be just a figure. And that would be interesting to see, adding 10% more women, that was the impact.
Yeah. It's just like from, having background also in HR analytics, I believe it should be like a much more longer period of time so that you can really understand what actually is working, what brings this benefit. Because like in any dynamic environment, we do have a lot of inputs, external, internal, what is changing. We go through digitalization at the moment. So it's it's combination. Definitely, it's combination of factors, but diversity is definitely not. Let's say, from the business perspective, for us, it's clear that diversity for us helps the growth of the company, and that is our key area where we focus. When we get to some more stable position in terms of growth, and then we can make it more efficient and make some other measurements and really see what diversity had brought to the business.
Sandhya.
Hi, me again. So I was thinking, actually, maybe the question could be inverted, right? So what we could ask ourselves instead is, if we did nothing about this, if we just let market forces do what they do, supply and demand, people within hiring functions continue to hire as they think is right today. So if we did nothing, what do we lose? Perhaps that's an interesting way of looking at it as well. It's the same question, but we flip it on its head, where in one instance we're thinking, what does diversity bring us? What do we gain? What specifically are the benefits? But actually, if we did nothing, what do we lose?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. It's a really good question, because it's also, there is a lot of also about the it's not only quantitative measurement, right? It's also some qualitative, also about the internal environment and the culture, and the way how freely you express your opinions. And one example also I have recalled about what women can bring to the technical area as well. It's all, of course, it depends on individuals and their set of competencies. But when you just purely look on the data, then the partnership part works better somehow with the engineering wizards women, let's say. Yes, so it is a combination. It's still the personality traits, but if you narrow it down to some gender elements, so I believe these kind of benefits could also be.
Don't get me. I'm totally in for that. That's why for me it was totally counterintuitive to have this result that 70% said I don't care. And on the other hand, we discuss this and say we have benefits and here it's helping and so on. And if we turn the medal, we can lose something. Then I would have expected that more people say we need more of that. So that was for me a bit. I'm still flabbergasted about the outcome of it. Yeah? So Anne raised her hand. Monchin raised her hand, and now Satya. Now it's getting heated here.
I don't know. Do I go first? It's Anne here.
Yes, please.
I think from my experience, and I've worked at quite a number of different companies, is that with gender diversity, what you typically achieve is a, should we say, a more comfortable environment, less, it's not as stressful and very sort of power driven as it can typically be in an all sort of male or a male dominated environment. That's my experience, that the more diversity you have, not only gender, I think it's really important to bring in age here as well. Because you need a sort of mixed group of people, of, older people who can help younger people and, make everyone feel comfortable. I think it really brings us a much more comfortable workplace. That being said, I have worked in several toxic workplaces as well, and it's very interesting to actually describe that, what makes it a toxic workplace. That's incredibly interesting when you start, who were the best bosses I have ever worked for? What did they have in common? And sort of try to find those patterns. I think that's really, really valuable exercise to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Monching, please.
Okay, thank you. My thoughts might be a bit disjointed. Firstly, yes, I had a recent experience similar to what Anne was just describing. So I'm recruiting a young female engineer to my team. So, and we were discussing some of the ways we can improve on our sustainability reporting, etc. And one thing we both agreed was that the engineers and the pilots are always fighting. They don't like each other. And a lot of it has to do with their ego as well. An engineer, I know the machine best, and the pilot, I know how to fly it best. But as women, when we work with them, it's much easier for us to get information from them, because you remove that macho competitive thing from the equation. So if you're looking for something as a benefit, in a sense, maybe that creates a kind of, like Anne say, a kind of soft work environment that you don't feel so threatened that another guy is coming into your space in that sense. But having said that, I don't know if, Daniel, your comparison between if people don't care is the same thing as whether having a woman brings in any benefit. I don't think we should go down the road that we have to have a benefit before we want to introduce women into this equation. It shouldn't matter. The fact that you're hiring a person without looking at their gender should be sufficient. So if I'm hiring a pilot and it doesn't need her to have any physical attributes that make her able to fly a plane, and if I remove gender from the equation, you just have a larger pool of qualified candidates to pick from. That should be good enough. It shouldn't be that a woman has to bring a certain benefit before we should consider opening up the field. So in that sense, that goes well with what you're observing, Daniel. It shouldn't matter. That's my point. Thank you.
Very good. Satya.
Love that point, Munching. I think you're right. I mean, the wider the pool is, the more you get your pick, right? So really love that point. The thought that was coming up in my mind is, look, we all bring something different to a conversation. I see the world through my eyes, and that is based on my experiences and, you know, the things that have gone through my life, and that's the way that I will see life. And when you bring more people onto the table, they widen that vision, right? So they enable me to see blind spots that I can't see, because that's just, you know, that's just out of my vision. So the more different opinions or different life experiences you get around a table, the smaller your blind spots are in terms of problem solving, in terms of being able to, you know, move ahead and move forward. I think also, Alina, I think I picked up on you saying something about kind of the emotional side of things as well, and it's sort of undeniable that you know, the emotional side of things, and not to say, you know, it's very black and white and, you know, men and women, but at the same time it is fairly undeniable that women do have a lot of these softer skills. You know, if I can talk from my personal experience, being a woman, being in aviation, being 17 years in senior leadership, you know, I went into teams that were breaking. You know, they were high conflict because nobody wanted to back down. You know, everybody had an ego, everybody thought they were right, everybody wanted it their way. And, you know, again, personal experience, I went in and broke down barriers, because it wasn't about that. You know, for me, it was about listening, it was about empathy, it was about sensitivity, it was about getting the job done. Of course it was. So it was about those other sort of periphery skills. We call them periphery skills, but actually I would say they're quite core skills in leadership, where you're bringing people together, there's collaboration going on, you know, all of those sorts of things that, yeah, are really difficult to measure. You know, of course they are, but, you know, it's hard for me to say, you know, I raised morale by 5%. You know, what does that even mean? But at the same time, that's a personal experience for me, where a team was breaking and we ended up being able to glue it back together again, and being able to perform really actually very well at the end of that day. Now, could you say, look, I could have hired a male and they could have come into that position and done the same? Well, yeah, maybe, right? But actually, if we remove, as Mon-Chin was saying there, the kind of any biases associated with the recruitment process, now we've got this whole big pool of individuals where we can extract and juice out competencies so that they can then come and perform at their best within their roles. I hope some of that is kind of made some sense there.
Yeah, definitely. So, but it's also linked to what you mentioned before. So what we actually are losing if it's not doing it. So, and it's the same within the team. So when you just feel that you can compare the feeling, and it's also what Anne mentioned. So diversity also have a lot of underlying internal, like a culture and environment, like sense of belonging, sense of inclusivity, so that you can bring all your energy, all yourself to the team, and that brings the benefit. But yeah, you just feel when it works and not, yeah. So it's like gut feeling as well. So, but yeah, I believe it's just like, it shouldn't be like even like a brainer, should we do it or not? Yeah, it's just a part of the business and the way how the business should work. Yeah, I mentioned already about the learning. This is also the way. So the key components for us is the culture, the internal environment, what we have and already established for years, which actually help us to foster diversity internally. The leadership, where we have no, let's say no, like a senior leadership, when we had no brainer, why would lady not capable to do certain jobs? So we do not have this on the agenda and in idea, let's say. And also through this like coaching, learning to combat all the biases we have. separate, of course, we do have a separate diversity course, diversity and inclusion, which helps to understand better the concept, how it works, but also the entire leadership program. All the events are based on better understanding of ourselves and understanding our biases, because we are people, we have a lot of them, that this is the way how we simplify our thinking process. But that is the core. When you are aware of them, then you can at least manage and understand how to mitigate them. And we do put a lot of emphasis on self-awareness, understanding of own biases throughout the leadership program. And all people leaders are going through this program. It's quite intense and very long lasting, but we believe that brings like a long-term benefit for us. Oh, sorry. And yeah, as I mentioned, like through this sharing of our experience, of the success stories of our women colleagues, captains, technicians, and also men in the cabin crew area. So we do emphasize a lot of this communication, but again, so very well balancing it together with the communication team to do not make it fake, because we don't want to sell something to our newcomers which we cannot provide them, and they will have this like clash of expectations and reality. So very, very thin border here. Yeah, and closing note from my side, also shared always with our like HR community here in Latvia, and when we also had some diversity conference here, I actually promote IATA 25 by 2025 as an industry, like on industrial level activity to address diversity and inclusiveness issues. And for the aviation industry, I believe that brings like higher standards, better work environment, like globally. So, and what is the benefit for us as a business? That helps us to attract new talents, best talents worldwide, because if like aviation industry globally has the same standards on inclusiveness, diversity, equality, so then people can trust and be much more open for other job opportunities worldwide. But it's a great industrial initiative, I believe, and I always suggest other industries to follow. So it's that brings value, brings another standard for the business. Here,
Thank you,
my
Alina.
presentation ends.
That was amazing. I think you laid out the blueprint for the industry. So now we need more airBaltics all over the world. And I think we had also many questions from the audience. Are there further questions from the audience?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go for the questions.
Everybody is speechless, of course.
No, I'm happy if it brings some like food for thought, but you're welcome.
If there are no questions, Anne.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you so much. It was absolutely brilliant, and I just, you know, it's just so interesting because I just want to share that with you, and of course we can do that catching up, you know, afterwards at some point. But you wouldn't believe the trouble I'm having in the Nordic market trying to reach out to airlines about Girls in Aviation Day, for example. Absolutely, literally zero interest. And I'm thinking, you know, these are the people who should be, you know, walking the talk, right? They should care about this. And you know, I mean, we have sponsorship that starts at $100 a year. I mean, that is really literally peanuts, right? To try to help such a worthy cause. And I tell you, it is like it's like a barred door. I mean, it's almost impossible to get through. So I think it needs, but you know, you keep on trying. I mean, I made a presentation to IATA very recently, and you know, I'm making a presentation at Airline Information in London. So you know, you just have to sort of chip away and chip away, right? And just try and try. But I think we need to get better at sort of helping each other out as well. But thank you so much for an excellent presentation. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anne, for the feedback.
Paul, you can unmute yourself. No, we can. You are unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
Maybe you write in the chat some question if you have.
Any other question from the audience?
But if not now, so I'm open to connect on LinkedIn. You can definitely find me there, and yeah, let's catch up with.
So the question from Paul is, how will you know when you get to your objective?
Like quantitative objectives are quite easy to measure, let's say. But the qualitative, I think it's like never-ending story. It's always there's a lot of areas to improve. We also, you know, when you introduce some processes internally, so you always need to think, okay, but I forgot, like, for instance, we now are heavily working on remote work implementation, and that is also about diversity. And then we just totally forgot some part of like benefits, how that would apply for the remote workers, for instance. Yeah, so it's when the business is changing, environment is changing, it's always the follow-up. But I think the good understanding also of the objectives is some measurement of more sentimental evaluation from colleagues. Are they how they're feeling? Do they feel like included in the environment and the company business? But the qualitative results for us, it's clear. We just aiming to improve like number of application from women to certain positions, total percentage of employees in particular groups, and that is our like, qualitative objectives.
So thank you very much, Alina. We are over the time, but interestingly, not many have dropped. So I think this is a very good sign. It was very dynamic, many questions, and I learned a lot. I think now we know how to boost diversity in an airline, and I look very much forward how things are evolving. Now you have to defend, of course, your title. By the way, Ladies Beyond Flying was also applying for the same award at IATA. We were producing a video. So the video which is in the article was the video we were producing. But I can fully understand that you were beating us and that you won the award. But you need
to stay persistent, apply every year. We applied 3 times in a row before we got it.
Okay.
So it's not that we all the time need to defend it.
Do you think we can take the same video, or we have to produce a new video? What do you think?
Just change some titles and voiceover.
So thank you very much. So
thank you for your time.
I look forward. Hopefully, you are also going to join the next Aviation Women panel in March. And so please, everybody, stay healthy and safe. If you know a smart, positive, upbeat, and enthusiastic female colleague from the industry, kindly spread the word. Let's grow our community. We are 940 meanwhile. So the next target is to get to 1,000. We are very inclusive. We also let male colleagues into this Aviation Women panel. Paul was today one of them. And yeah, thank you very much for this lively discussion. Stay healthy and safe, and looking forward to having you with us soon again. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.